2, 1. Thank you. I'm calling this meeting to order. It's the Monterey Public Library Board of Library Trustees regular meeting, Thursday, October 27th, 2022. So I go ahead and call the meeting to order. Francesca, could you do the roll call, please?
Yes, Trustee Moreau.
Here.
Trustee Petty.
Here.
Trustee Silvera.
Here.
Vice Chair Doshi.
Here.
And Chair Felgood.
Here. Thank you. The first item we have on our agenda is a presentation. We're going to receive a presentation from the Bookmobile Services Coordinator. So with no further ado, I turn it over to you, Mary.
Hi, I'm Mary. I'm the Bookmobile Services Coordinator for Monterey Public Library. I don't think I've met, I think I met Bob here at the library, but I don't think I've met any of the rest of you. So just a little bit about me. I started in mid-July. I came from a public school background. I was in elementary school for a couple years at Galt Elementary in Santa Cruz, and then at Mission Hill Middle School. And I also just got, it's not my library science master's degree, but I just finished my BA in library science from University of Nebraska, Omaha. So that's my library background that I'm coming to you guys with. And I do have a presentation for you guys today. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Mary, you're muted.
Right now, Mary, you look unmuted. You're good.
Okay, for some reason it won't let me share my screen without muting myself. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me try one more time.
We were able to see your screen, but then we couldn't hear you. And now we can hear
Right,
you, but we can't see your
yeah.
screen.
Mary, do you want to try to email it to me? Maybe I can share it, and then
No, there we go.
yeah, you can. If it's muting you, but if you want to send it to me, then I can forward the slide as you talk. Would that work?
I can see the screen now. Whoop.
Yeah, but we can't hear her.
For some reason it won't, my system is not letting me do that. Sorry, I was trying again. So I'm going to share my slideshow with Ryan. Okay, so I don't know why my system won't let me do that.
Mary, I just made you co-host, so that might change something if you want to try one more time.
Okay, let me try one more time. Okay. I'm sorry. it won't let me do it. But I can just talk you guys through it instead. I'm sorry that I have this nice presentation with pictures and everything. So I'm the new book mobile coordinator for Monterey Public Library, like I said. You guys got to see that one picture of my office window. I'm here to give you a little bit of an update about what we've been doing. So when I first got here, we were having service 2 days a week, and we were servicing the retirement communities of Park Lane and Merrill Gardens, and then we were also going to Montecito Park and La Mesa, which is the Navy housing community. And the post-COVID, we had been moved at La Mesa to the community center, which wasn't a very visible site for us. It was difficult to park. It was kind of out of the way. So one of the first things that we were able to do was partner with Clayton Family Services. They reached out to us and offered us a wonderful parking location. So we are now right down the hill from La Mesa Elementary School, and we were able to switch the schedule so that we're there on Wednesday afternoons for that short day. And that has dramatically increased our patronage at that stop. I went back, and for this calendar year, for May through July, we had 451 people come on board during that 3-month period. And then, oh, yay, there's my screen. Thank you, Brian. So, and then the next 3 months, when we were able to switch that stop, August through October, we had 826 people come on board. So that's been a really great improvement for our bookmobile service, just being in a more visible location and being closer to the school. And I know that those numbers were summer numbers, so that could have affected it. But even looking back at the school year, once we had been moved to that community center stop, our numbers had really gone down. And so we were getting between like 25 and 30 people. Right now, like the slowest day we've had was 35, and we were averaging between 70 and 90 people at that stop. So then next slide, Brian. The other thing we were able to do was we were able to reinstate our preschool story time and community stops at El Estero and Hilltop Park. These stops were something that we also did pre-COVID, and it's been really great to be able to go back into the preschool and meet the preschoolers and have these little story times. And then their caregivers, when they come to pick them up, can bring them onto the bookmobile if they choose. The Hilltop Park stop in particular, we hadn't done really any kind of advertising, and just being parked there, I had neighbors come out and be so thankful that we were back and check out books and excited about the stop being reinstated. And at El Estero, I've also had community members. The Dennis Demons Park is closed that day, but the skate park is still open. So I've had some people that come by and use the skate park come on board the bookmobile. So next slide, Brian. So one of the fun things that we did this year for Halloween was I did a pumpkin decorating raffle. So kind of like a coloring contest, but instead of judging children's artwork, if you let me hang your picture up in the bookmobile, then I put your name in a raffle bin. And we just wrapped up the contest, so I haven't drawn the winners yet. I had some more entries coming in yesterday, so I will get to that this week. And it's just little $5 gift certificates to Paris Bakery for a couple of kids. But it was a really good time. I put a table out at La Mesa, and kids went to town there. It's really great. The next slide. The other big thing that we've done recently was the trunk or treat. This was a giant success. I think for the whole city, this was a really wonderful thing. We had 760 people come by the bookmobile in the 2-hour chunk that we were there. I made these floating jellyfish, which we hung up, and it doesn't look as impressive in the picture, but it really looked cool, and they were fluttering in the wind. We have an under the sea theme going on for our employee costume contest this year, so we just went with that, and it was really great. We had about probably between 30 and 40 people actually come on board the bookmobile and check it out, and it was good PR for that as well. It wasn't really something where all 760 people could have come on board, but the people that had never seen it or kids that were really excited, they got to come on board, and we even did a few checkouts and returns.
Barry, excuse me, where was that picture taken?
That was taken in front of the museum. So the city shut down the city block.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I just couldn't place the location. Thank you.
yeah. So we were parked on the wrong side of the street in front of my museum. And then I also got to attend the AWOS conference this year. That's the Association of Bookmobiles and Outreach Services. It was in Scottsdale, Arizona. It was really a great experience for me. I was able to meet bookmobile coordinators from all over the Bay Area, and we are planning on having like a tour or a meetup of some kind to be able to check out not only each other's like bookmobiles, but how we provide services and how we do our collection management and things like that. So that was a really great thing for me, especially being a new driver. I got to meet drivers from all over the country, and as you can see here, I also got to meet our rep who is building our new bookmobile with Faber Brock here. So that was a really fun thing. And then the other picture of me, they're holding up my name tag. I'm on a bookmobile from the Buckeye County bookmobile. It's in Arizona, and they have the same bookmobile that we currently have, just a slightly different setup. So it was very deja vu. And then next slide. So Montecito Park is our stop that really serves like a large Latino population, Hispanic population, and also a lot of our lower income residents. This stop, I'm really trying to build this stop back up. Before COVID, this was a bustling, really important stop on our bookmobile routes. And during COVID, the numbers just have completely dropped off. So every time I'm there, I'm out canvassing in the park. I talk to everyone that's there. We also, Kim had the brilliant idea of putting up a flyer case. So I've been putting posters about bookmobile and current events in that case as well. And then on November 12th, on Saturday, we're going to be hosting a STEM in the Park event. We're going to be making paper circuits. So if you're not familiar with what that is, it's using use copper tape to make a circuit on just a regular piece of paper and a little diode and a coin battery to light up that little LED. And I did this project at Galt Elementary when I was there, and we made little window hangings. And it's really just kind of a fun thing to do, not only to promote science and STEM and community involvement, but then it's a little light you can hang in your window as the seasons change and it gets darker. So you're spreading a little bit of light. So I'm hoping to really promote that. And then this isn't necessarily bookmobile related, but I'm also doing a little handwork class here at the library for kids, a little sewing class for 7 to 10-year-olds. We made these little pincushion hedgehogs was the first project, and then the second one was sock monsters for Halloween. The little girl with the pink sweatshirt is actually one of my bookmobile regulars who saw the flyer on the bookmobile and came here with her mom to do the sewing project. I think that's Amp's just not muted, so that's what that background noise is. Sorry, I was trying to figure out if someone had a question. And then my goals for the 2023 is to really, like I said, increase that patronage at Montecito Park again and identify areas of need for future stops. I am currently working with the school about doing a little bit of outreach there, just and getting kind of a feel for their community and how that goes. And then also just continuing to build the stops that we already have and strengthening those community partnerships, especially with the Fleet and Family Services at the La Mesa stop. They've been excellent community partners, and I'm hoping to work with them more in the future. Does anyone have any questions? And thank you. And that's it.
I don't have a question, just a comment. I'm really pleased to see what you are accomplishing here. It's really nice to see the programming and the outreach occurring, and it's really great to hear that we're rebuilding our services. So kudos to you. Looks like you hit the ground running.
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, Trustee Martin.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I echo what Jennifer said. It looks like the city is getting, the kids in the city are really getting a valuable service, and the senior homes too. I was just wondering if you are working with the schools, like at La Mesa. Do you work with the schools too, or is this an independent activity from like after school?
So the La Mesa stop is an independent activity. We're not working directly with the school. We're just parked close to the school on the short day, so on the early release day. So we get a lot of school foot traffic.
Okay.
There's a charter school, the Monterey, or no, it's sorry, there's several charter schools that have very similar names. So I think it's the Bayview Academy.
Ah,
And so yes, they have reached out to me about maybe including them in future service. And so we are going to do a couple of outreach events there as well. And that would be working with the school, but that's different than our stop at La Mesa.
okay, because it seems to me that a lot of the school libraries are in pretty bad shape, and it's a wonderful augmentation to.
Yeah, exactly.
what they
Can
have.
can I just add on to what Mary was saying? Because I did a tour of Hotel Del Monte, and for the Navy handout on the front of, I forgot to grab a flyer, but the front of their flyer actually,
Oh no, you froze.
Brian, you froze.
Bad technology today.
Oh no, we dropped. Bob, did you have a question too?
You're muted, Bob.
One of the later items on our agenda is to approve the library schedule for 2023. So I don't want to mix things up, but part of that is the bookmobile schedule. And I'm just wondering whether the stops that we're going to consider when we get to that item on the agenda are the same as what we were doing before we had to shut down on a lot of activities because of COVID. And the schedule has El Estero, New Monterey, Hilltop Park, and then La Mesa, Montecito, and those are the ones that I guess more for kids. And then every week, Merrill Gardens and Park Lane for the senior residents. So that's 2, 4, 6 stops, 4, and then 2 for the seniors. How does that number compare to how many we were going to before we cut back? Because I know we're in the process of trying to,
Rebuilding.
yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody have an idea? I don't remember. I could dig back in old minutes, but I don't remember where else we did, if this is it or what.
There was a Del Monte Beach stop before, and we also did Hilltop Park. We would do it twice. We would do it once with the preschool, and then we'd go back later in the afternoon before. And I believe there was another New Monterey stop at some point.
What was the first thing you said, Mary, before you started talking about Hilltop?
Del Monte Beach.
Oh, okay.
There was a Del Monte Beach stop before COVID.
So we're roughly looking at 2 fewer stops than before.
No, there was more than that. There was also Casanova Oak Knoll Community Center
Oh, okay.
for preschool. There was one in that neighborhood over there. There's been, I would say there was probably at least 4 more, if not more. I can't remember exactly what the finalized schedule was right up before COVID stopped. But
Okay.
I know when we do our survey that's coming up, so the proposal for the schedule for next year doesn't include what we're going to identify in the survey as potential new stops. And
Right.
so once we identify which stops we might want to bring back or new ones, then we'll come back with a revision to that schedule.
Okay, yeah, and I didn't want to jump ahead in the discussion of our agenda items. I just, since we're talking about the bookmobile now, I was curious how that number compared to years ago. Thanks,
Yeah,
Kim.
Oh, look, I have a schedule in my desk. There was also, at one point, there was an Oak Grove stop and a Lerwick Drive stop. And yeah, that looks like that was most of the stops, those 2. And the Casanova Oak Knoll Park, that was both a preschool stop and a community stop. There's no preschool there at the moment. I think the community center is completely shuttered. And from talking with the director at Hilltop, who had been the director at Casanova, it doesn't sound like it's going to be opening anytime soon, unfortunately.
Okay,
Yeah, and
Thanks.
then years ago, we used to go to Fisherman's Flats, and there were several other stops too, but we were running more days and more hours of the days, and we had 2 people on the bookmobile at that time. So I don't know, it's been pared back for a while.
well, and it's also true that the population is aging. There may be
Mhm. Yeah,
less of a need for stops where we're serving kids, because there might be fewer kids than there
Yeah.
was, say, 10, 15 years ago.
yeah. Yeah, we used to have a stop on Casanova. There's a like low income senior housing over there. I know we used to do that one, and there used to be Portola Vista over by Troya Market.
Oh, yeah, right. That's what I was going to say too.
Yeah,
Right.
the bane of my existence having to parallel park on that street.
Oh, yeah, that's a terrible street. Okay,
Do
thank you.
any
I
other
didn't mean to interrupt, but
trustees?
I was just, that was a question I typed on my copy of the agenda, and I thought, knowing that might fit in with Mary's presentation. Thanks.
Do any other trustees have questions or comments? And if not, are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this item? I'm seeing no great stampede of people coming forward. Let's move on to the consent agenda. The one item, or the first item, is approval of the September 22, 2022 minutes. Are there any comments or corrections? And if none, I would entertain a motion to approve. All right, so Harish, you're making the motion and Marcia is seconding.
Yes.
No, but Jennifer, we have 2 items on the consent agenda.
Right, but we're starting off with approval of the minutes. That's the first one.
No, but you're supposed to do them all together. That's the purpose of a consent agenda. You have a group of them all at
I'm
once.
going from okay, but I was gonna say that I figured there was a reason we had it broken out into 2 items on here. But if folks are happy with approving items 2 and 3, which is a request appropriation of donated funds, Harish, do you want to amend your motion so it covers both of these consent items?
Yes, let's do that. I move that the 2 consent items be approved together.
Marcia, would you accept that friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Are there any trustee questions? And Francesca, can we do a roll call vote? Or not? I don't know if she's there, so
Hear me now?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So thank you. So trustee Moreau,
Yes.
trustee Petty,
Yes.
trustee Silvera. Yes, see. There you are.
Yes.
Vice Chair Joshi
Yes,
and Chair Felger.
Yes, thank you. We're now at the portion of the agenda for public comments. Public comments allows you, the public, to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any subject which is not on the agenda. Any person or group desiring to bring an item to the attention of the library board may do so during public comments or by addressing a letter of explanation to the library director. Do we have any public comments?
We do encourage members of the public to join our meeting via Zoom. You will be connected live in real time to the meeting. To join by telephone, dial toll-free 833-568-8864 Enter meeting ID 161-352-8864, followed by the pound sign. To make a public comment, please raise your Zoom hand, or if you are connected by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. And Chair Feldman, there are no public comments at this time.
Thank you, Francesca. So let's move on to item number 4, which is approved 2023 library holiday and closure schedule. Do we have staff report on this?
Yes, so we have the attachment in your packet regarding the holiday and closure schedule. You'll see the different city, basically and federally observed holidays that we have, including New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, President's Day. We also have, and I'll go over the holidays first, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Admission Day. There's Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Day. So with that, you'll see some amendments on there in additions. One is to add in a staff development day. You're doing a staff day on Monday. That is on the day that the library is normally closed. That is this Monday, October 31st, after the city has their Halloween costume contest. So we're looking at a full day for Thursday, March 30th. To close, we're looking at closing early for the chocolate and wine benefit, and we're moving that to April 22nd, and that's around National Library Week. So that's when we're looking at moving that with the Friends and Foundation. We're looking at staying open on Admission Day because it's not generally a date that the community associates with as a holiday. So we are thinking of keeping that as a day that we are open to the public. Veterans Day is generally observed federally on Friday. It's not always observed on the actual day. So we are looking at closing on actual Veterans Day, Saturday, November 11th, and being open to the public on Friday, November 10th. So keeping the observed holiday open, but the actual holiday closing it. Thanksgiving, we are proposing an additional day, which is the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So we'll have a longer break, which would be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Then Christmas, we have the Sunday. Sunday we are already closed right now for Christmas Eve. Monday is paid holiday, as you'll see in the attachment. And so Tuesday, we would be our first day of service here, so we would close that day. And we've just added on here Monday, January 1st, 2024, just for reference, because that's the first day of the new calendar year. Happy to discuss any of these. And we're looking at, for right now, the second page of this has the ongoing schedule. So start continuing with the current schedule of Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 6 for library, and the existing stops for now until we get back going forward with the survey and more information on that coming up.
Trustees, questions? Marcia?
Yeah, Brian, I just, is this the same schedule? Is this kind of synchronized with the rest of the city? Are they doing the same thing? I know we have unions, and the unions have, days that people are off. I just want to make sure that it was synchronized.
Yeah, so I would say, like on Admission Day, some departments, I believe, Kim could probably answer this too, but I believe that historically Admission Days, certain departments are closed to the public, and then the library has historically stayed open on those days. Thanksgiving, this is one that we're proposing to close to the public and possibly just still have staff here to work. It's just a matter of trying to get additional staff here, enough staff also to just work on the Saturday to get enough folks to come here on the day. So if we can get caught up behind the scenes, so we're closed to the public, but we have actual staff work on that Saturday, so people could come in and do their job. So that would be helpful.
So this Thanksgiving, is it the same as that? Are we also closed? No.
We're not. And so it's one of those things that I think when Kim and I are going to look at the schedule, and it's going to be probably going to be pretty tight on that Saturday for us to find staffing. So that's why we were looking at doing that next year.
Traditionally, the city is closed. The city's holiday is Thursday and Friday. Is that right?
Mhm.
So then this year you've got to open Saturday and then you close again Sunday, Monday.
Right.
I see, I see. So next year it would be a solid 5-day closure.
And this would give us time for us to do the staff work. So staff that wanted to work, that were working a Tuesday through Saturday shift could still come in and do their shifts on Saturday. We could clear out the book drops and do the things there. But if we just didn't have all of the staff to cover the service desk on a busy Saturday, this would help us because we rely a lot on the weekends also by our part-time staff.
Okay, so this year, the Saturday will be open and you'll be scrambling, but next year it'll be different. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, Kim, if you want to add anything onto that regarding any history or alignment.
No, I think for admissions day, even though most of the city departments are closed, we stay open because so few members of the public know when admissions day is and what it is. And so it would be really confusing for them to have us off that day. And then I agree with Brian, it's a toss up. Of course, we don't want to take extended days off for Thanksgiving and Christmas, but when we don't have staff available, then it's tricky. So I think it makes sense, this proposal.
So you don't think you'll have more staff by Thanksgiving 2023?
We'll have another children's librarian, but I'm just thinking of the holiday about relying on a lot of the desk schedule for the part-timers to fill in on there. And this gives us a solid block of time to basically tell the public we're off at this period of time and we'll be coming back on Tuesday.
And I think a lot of the other area libraries like Carmel and the county, they tend to do schedules like this also, where they don't have enough staff or they don't want to have one day open. And so I see that quite commonly with them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from trustees?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Go ahead, Bob.
Just a second, I'm trying to remove something that just appeared on my screen and I don't know what it is. There we go. Okay. And let me lower my hand. Okay, I have several concerns with this schedule or questions. Since we were talking about Thanksgiving weekend, I'll continue with that. I really don't like the idea of being closed for that many days in a row. When we have constructed schedules before, and the board has constructed schedules before, a main concern was always don't stay closed too many days in a row. And so if you're talking about being closed Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I mean, that's almost a full week, 5 days. And so I really am not happy with the idea of, adding another day when we're already going to be closed so many. So I don't know what to say right now other than could we, like Marcia clarified that this year it'll be closed Thursday, Friday, open Saturday, and then closed our normal Saturday and Sunday and Monday. Could we see what the business is like on Saturday this year, and then use that as additional information for whether we close or stay open Saturday next year? Because 5 days in a row, like I say, it just is totally 180 degrees from what the board has tried to do in the past, which is not be closed for so many days in a row. And I'm concerned with that too, especially on a day when, a weekend time when there are going to be a lot of kids and families that may want to avail themselves of the library. So, I appreciate the idea of having a day when staff can catch up and, not have to deal with the public, but looking at it from serving the public and from the public's perspective, that's a concern for me. I'm also wondering, you have closing on Thursday, March 30th for the staff development day. Why aren't we doing staff development on a day when the on Sunday or Monday when the library is already closed to the public? Why close another day to the public for that?
So one of the things is that we have a lot of staff that work at other sites. We have a lot of staff that are part-timers that work other jobs. And if we want to include them, they are often working at other jobs on other days of the week. And then if we take them and we say, okay, you have to work on a Sunday or Monday, they then get another day off during the week. That impacts. So basically if we're telling them, okay, so for example, for Halloween, we're doing the day we're doing a shortened day, we're doing a 4-hour day, and Kim and I are filling in on the Saturday to help cover on the staffing of that, to making sure that we have enough hours. But when we tell the folks, okay, this is your schedule is Tuesday through Saturday, but then they have to work a Monday or a Sunday that week, they get another day off. And then that impacts the rest of that week. So it makes it easier if we know that people are working, the majority of folks are going to be working on that day of the week, like on that Thursday. That's the majority. We're going to reach a good group of people that we know are able to attend something.
Okay, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I just regret that we can't do it on a day when we don't have to, shut the door on the public. And that's behind what I was saying with regard to that Saturday after Thanksgiving as well. Especially there, because 5 days in a row just feels like a really long period of time. So anyhow, those were the two things, plus the question I had that we already talked about, the number of stops for the bookmobile that pertain to this item.
Do any other trustees, Janie?
Yes, as someone who spent way too much of her library career scheduling the reference desk, I understand all the problems that are involved with staffing and providing service. My question is, since I'm a newbie, when do we actually have to say this is our permanent schedule, and is there a plan or option that we could amend it after we get the results of the survey? Also for the bookmobile schedule and hours?
So I can respond to that. And that's something we talked with the chair and vice chair about, is that we would come back, because the bylaws have us approve the meeting. The bylaws have us approve the schedule of this meeting, but that doesn't mean we can't come back to the board at a later date and reevaluate and approve it if we get more funding, or if we get more hours, if we get more stops. So that's why, for example, with Mary, we are looking at the request that's coming in for additional stops. And I said, let's try that as an outreach event, because it's a school that wants to do class visits on the site. So it's the school that's doing a visit on there. This isn't a regular stop. And we're not going to approve that, because that would negate a lot of the survey process and, a lot of the research that's on there. So we'll see how those kind of attendance goes, and having those people fill out the survey as well, and then come back to the board at a later date to see about, the Sunday or Monday or evenings or whatever else we hear from that.
So I like Bob's idea about looking to see how this Saturday after Thanksgiving is utilized, because I share his concern about the 5 days in a row. I do think that, particularly, as you said, for children and people who are out of school, and it seems like a pretty long stretch. And as far as the staff development, so you're having two staff, this October staff development is on a Monday, right? So.
And it's optional.
Oh, I see. So people who come in for it and are part-time have to be paid extra, or they swap hours, or how does that work?
We have a certain number of hours available, and the number of hours that they can work a year that we're budgeted for the part-time seasonal. They can work up to 1,000 hours a year. So this is part of their actual budget on there. And the full-timers are swapping 4 hours or working full day on the day.
Well, the hope is that by next year, your budget will be augmented with more staff, and then it will be easier. It will be easier. So, we can look towards that down the road. If that's true, then you could go for the Monday. But I think having, a staff development being closed one day on a Thursday when you're open Wednesday and Friday is not nearly as big a deal as the issue of being closed 5 days in a row is. It just seems to me that. So, last Saturday I went to the Pacific Grove Library and they were closed for the day for whatever reason. And sometimes it happens, but that one day is different than 5.
Harish, did you have any comments or
Yes,
concerns?
just a comment about the Saturday being off. My one concern is if we say we're going to be open, a lot of staff people take holidays in that place. We won't be able to stay open anyway. And it looks very tempting for somebody who's traveling to just take that day off also, even if the library is kept open. So we may not achieve what we want to achieve, which is to keep that day open.
That's true too, but
Mhm.
we can look at this Thanksgiving and see what happens.
Well, and in addition, once we get our survey results, depending on budget and survey results, we may want to do some tweaking of what days we're closed anyway.
Yes.
So I see where we may be making another pass at this in the not too distant future, which is somewhat consoling. Yeah, Bob.
I would like to request and suggest that we drop that Saturday, November 25th from the list of days that we are closed at this point. Because as you just said, we can always amend it, and we can amend it in one direction or another. And frankly, nobody but us is going to know what this schedule is in terms of the public or anything for months and months. And in fact, if people are in town say, well, I'm sure the library is closed Thursday and Friday, and but I'll bet they're open on Saturday because they're also always closed on Sunday and Monday. They'll check it sometime in November of next year to see. So I think we have plenty of time. And I would like to request that we scratch that Saturday 25th closed on whatever we approve today, with following Marcia's idea of looking at what happens this Saturday of this coming Thanksgiving, looking and at what Jennifer said, at what budget and staffing we have available next fiscal year that, who knows right now, and then make changes like Jennifer said we could do, one direction or the other. I mean, who knows, maybe next year we'll be open 6 days a week and 10 hours a day and all kinds of great things.
Yeah.
But right now that 5 days in a row just feels like too much to plan for and to publish. And if we change it based on budget or lack of response this year or any other good reason that we come up with, in the next 13 months, then we can. So I would like to scratch that day from the proposed calendar. And I understand that the difficulties with scheduling a staff development day when we're closed, mostly because, as Brian pointed out, and I didn't realize this, that a number of our staff who would be expected to come have other jobs that they may go to on the days when they're not working at the library. So for that reason, it would be nice to do it on a day when we're don't have to close to the public, but I understand why that Thursday in March is as it is. So I guess what I'm asking is we take off the Saturday, November 25th on the closure list.
How do the other trustees feel about that? Can I do a straw poll?
I'd go along with that. I'm
Marcia
fine
and
with,
Janie?
I'd say so too. Yes.
Do we have any members of the public who would like to comment on this particular item?
There are no public comments, Chair Falgout.
Alrighty, then I would entertain a motion to pass the schedule as amended with the Saturday, November 25th removed for the time being.
So moved.
Okay, and Bob, you're seconding.
Sure.
Francesca, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Library Trustee Moreau,
Yes.
Library Trustee Petty,
Yes.
Library Trustee Silvera,
Yes.
Vice Chair Joshi,
Yes,
and Chair Falgout.
Yes. Thank you. All righty, we're now at the portion of the agenda where we're going to go through informational reports and staff comments. We're on item number 5, receive Library and Museums Director Activity Report. Brian, you are on.
First off, thank you, everyone. But I want to thank also Mary earlier for her great presentation here for Bookmobile Services Coordinator. She's doing a fantastic job here and really connecting with all of the different partners out there, which is really what we need for our outreach team and our Bookmobile. So kudos to her and the folks that get out there. There's other staff that go out with her that rotate out to help out at the sites, and just want to thank her for that. But as we were mentioned on our last meeting, I think it'd be good to bring on our staff out here to meet and talk with the Board of Library Trustees. I think that's great for people to know each other as well. So with that, I'll have introduce, he's not on right now, but I'll ask him to come out later, is Andres Garza. He started on October 1st here, and he's been working with Dennis Copeland and myself and his library colleagues on different practices and going with California History Room. He's already helped me with a couple different requests from the public on different requests that we've had on California history and local history and family history. So we've been jumping him right into the California History Room, which is fantastic to see.
Brian, can I just jump in and ask you what his job title is? He a full-time employee, and what is his job title? What is?
Yes, he's a full-time local history librarian.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So he's a librarian.
Yes.
He's an actual- Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
So yeah, and I'll have him introduce himself when I can bring him out for it, and he can give you a little background, just like Mary.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, because he's just started, a couple weeks ago. I didn't want to throw him in right in and
Yeah.
too early to see what he's doing. Lucia Neal, who's been a part-time employee, is accepted a job offer as library assistant 2. This is the role that Carl Salbaca, when he had recently resigned, left a vacancy. So we were able to get Lucia into the role, and she'll be starting November 1st is what we're looking at. So bringing her on more hours, which is great to see. I'm working with the City Manager's Office and Middlebury Institute of International Studies for a library and museums project intern. It's a federal work study program. So 75% of the cost is paid for by the federal government and 25% paid for by the city. And this is just a great process for getting a graduate student to work with projects here in the library. So he'll be starting also November 1st here. And we have the staff day planned for Monday, October 31st. And I've asked Chair Felguth to attend. So thank you, Jennifer, for agreeing to come out. I think it'll just be a fun event. And with that, just been meeting with our library staff one-to-one, continue to kind of reach out with our different folks. Our library activities, we are in contract with FE Technologies to get 2 new RFID enabled self-checkout machines. These are going to be great because they will allow staff to check out up to 5 items, not the public or staff to help them out, up to 5 items at a time on an RFID pad. ETA is in November. They have the devices in stock, luckily in Dallas, Texas. So we don't have to worry about supply chain issues of getting them, all the pieces from China, Hong Kong, all of that. So that's great. And just so you know, we have the RFID pads at like our help desk or staff desk, even with those, we can only do one item at a time based on how the ILS checks out items. So we do one item, where they're actually going to be much faster and able to, the public will be able to check out faster on RFID on there. So that's great to see those coming in. And it's the same company that did our RFID gates and our RFID transition. So there's the integration for a lot of our services will be a lot easier. Bob, did you want me to go through this, or do you have a question on that?
Real quick question. Can't I check? I mean, I've checked out more than one item at a time already on those two machines that are to the right of the help desk.
Yeah.
So I'm confused when you say right now you can only do one at a time.
At the staff desk, the staff.
Oh, okay.
The staff is based on like how it's what's called a SIP license. It's how it transfers information. When the staff are doing their part, it's only one at a time.
Okay, but if I'm doing it myself, I can check out a whole bunch at once.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, well, I have. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Harish, did you have a question?
I did, about technical support for this. Is the company that we're buying from, how long are they liable for these machines? And if there are any problems with that, will they be sending somebody over there to correct them, or is it our responsibility since we're purchasing them?
We're buying a contract, a service contract as well for the units. So we priced out getting a lease and service, and we priced out purchasing with the contract. So we are going with the service contract for them to maintain it. And so that'll be coming up fairly soon. I'm crossing my fingers. We're looking at all the ports and everything on there. So we've got it. We're working on that. I'm working on that with David right now. We have our MC Gives campaign for folks that are seeing, that's the My Place to Learn, that's the revised children's area, and we're already getting our challenge grants in on that. I met with some of the library staff regarding reopening the library community meeting rooms, and we have been opening them for library specific programs, but we have not opened it up largely to the community as of right now. So we do have, you'll see different programs on our calendar. If you look at our events or subscribe to the Constant Contact, you'll see the different items, different library programs coming out there. But we were talking about the process for booking and managing, because there's a lot of back-end processes that take a lot of time, and setups and takedowns and everything from all of that. So we're discussing with the staff, and then we need to come back to the board to look at the board policy as well. So that is something that I have to work on that with the city attorney's office as well for that policy for how they do it. The city attorney's office mentioned that to me. So we have to look at some of those, and we'll be coming back on that coming up soon. I did the library director meet and greets. I know some of our trustees here attended, so thank you for that. I did a dragon themed story time with Miss Lisa. That was a lot of fun. Dressed up as Pete the Dragon. Drove the bookmobile, did some outreach on there, did our parking day with Sarah and Mary and Jordan from museums out there on Alvarado Street, team craft program, and that was help from Sarah as well. And we did a Friends and Foundation event as well as our donor reception. So we did several events to just kind of so that I can connect more with the community and just hear from people. And those have been, I think, pretty successful. I just recently applied for a California State Library grant. This is called Stronger Together Early Learning. It's through Black Gold Library Consortium down south, and it's through the state library. But it would be in addition to any funding for MC Give. So I'm hopeful that process is approved. I don't know how many grants they're going to approve, or if they have priority on what sites that they're going to do on there. As I mentioned, drove the bookmobile to La Mesa and Montecito to see the sites. Finalized the library operations survey. There was a delay because the ownership of the Survey Monkey was under Inga. So I just got that transferred back to me yesterday, and that as well as got access to Have Your Say Monterey yesterday as well from the city of Monterey. So, Bob?
Oh, I think maybe you just answered the question. I didn't lower my hand quickly enough. But do we have to use Survey Monkey the only option for getting the survey out for public response?
Well, we have a survey account, we have a SurveyMonkey account, and then the other one, I think there might be other accounts, but usually like SurveyMonkey is something that our IT manages the account. So we had to get some of those things that we had to get that cleared up with our city IT so that I can get access to. So something like that, if there's another program, I might have to work, if there's an account, I may have to work with the city of Monterey to get access from the IT department.
And what's prohibiting us from just putting the survey as a link on the library website? If you want to answer the survey, click here. And I mean, separate from SurveyMonkey and separate from Have Your Say.
Right now, we're also waiting for Revise, which is the new website. And so I'm waiting to hear, because that was going to have a different format, and I need a timeline for Revise from the city manager's office, because they have a sample which they've shared with us, and we're waiting to get a sample, because we would be able to put that on the left side of the bar. We would be able to put those things on the page, and I'm waiting for the timeline. So I don't want to put it up there and then the page change and then the survey's down, because I need to know.
Thank you.
Yeah. Harish, did you have another question on that?
Good question. Yes, on that one. Now that you got it transferred, is it to your personal work ID or is it to a generic ID? The reason I ask is because if you're on vacation and the assistant librarian steps in as acting director, will they be able to do this work without having access to your password and things like that?
Good question. I think that because the IT manages it, it would be something that we would be able to request it through our IT. So it would be something under there. So that's how I understand it. It's because it's not
in a generic ID rather than to Brian at.
It's still attached to a certain person, but I mean the managed account for it is managed through our city IT department. So the city IT manages the different accounts that they own. They own those accounts and we have it. So I believe they would be able to access who can access the surveys up there. Marcia?
Just curious, is it better, you think, to do it under Have Your Say Monterey? And you can still put that on the library website, right? I know that the city was pushing Have Your Say. I don't know if it's.
Yeah, so that's why I got the account. So we would be doing it on there as well.
So you would do it on both places.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just got an admin account for Have Your Say Monterey just yesterday or the day before. I just was sent that by city manager.
It'll go out on both.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be going out soon once we get that. We'll be getting that out really soon.
Great.
We've got a couple of things. We met with the city facility staff and with Kim regarding doing things like carpet cleaning. So we're starting to do carpet cleaning in zones. They used to do that on the weekend during Thanksgiving kind of weekend, I believe, around that time. But it's happening just carpet cleaning in different areas right now. We've asked for quotes on a couple of projects, including one on the library terrace, and some of that is connected to the Barbara Sovereign mural that is coming up there as well. But also so that we can have access to the garden area right there, which is inaccessible right now based on the barrier. So we're looking at what the costs are going to be on some of these projects. So we've put up forth a couple lists of projects for the city maintenance team to give us some cost estimates. Put on here a tour to Hotel Del Monte with John Sanders, an author out here, which was a great tour of that space if you haven't been out there. And then interviews, working with the media, and met with the directors of both Pacific Grove and Carmel libraries, and been scheduling a meeting with Monterey County Free Libraries to discuss the digitization process and content management systems for our historical resources. We have a lot of our content already digitized, but we don't have it accessible right now for the public. So for years they're on physical hard drives. And so we would like to see what the process is for getting them on the cloud storage or some other storage that makes it more accessible. And that meeting, I'm meeting also with Dennis Copeland and Andres Garza are going to attend as well. So we get more input on that. For Museum and Cultural Arts, we had our 1849 California Constitutional Convention reenactment. I filmed it. I've sent it in for, we're gonna hopefully get that posted up on the city YouTube page. I think it was a great event to have there again. We were happy to have that because we hadn't had it since the pandemic. And that was just a good event to have over in there. Over at the, went to a reception for at the Jeffers Plaza, and that's, which is a new Monterey Conference Center, has a plaza in between themselves and the hotel, and they've named it the Robinson Jeffers Plaza. So there's a new marquee, there's a new couple of different statues right in there. And working with the Museums of Cultural Arts regarding their strategic goals for this coming year. And Dennis Copeland was recognized for his work for Monterey County Historical Society. So we had a barbecue, which is the first time they've held that since the pandemic as well. So that was out in Salinas. And working toward the Japanese American Heritage Center. And that was with Tim Thomas and I'm drawing a blank. So my apologies for the other member we would tour with. But we saw a, there's a Doc Ricketts petition from 1945 when they were welcoming back all the Japanese into the community. And it was the one community that wrote a public letter, and you have Steinbeck signing it and multiple people signing it in the community. So they have a print, poster. So we asked, CSU MB actually holds the original document. So we've asked for a replica scan. We have a high quality scan, and we're going to get that for installing in the Pacific Biological Labs because it was written by Ed Ricketts' live-in wife. So she was the one that typed up the letter, and people recognize it as Ed Ricketts' typewriter. So it helps tell that kind of story over there, which was great. Christmas in the Adobe meeting, been working on the planning with that, coordinating with state parks. And just so you guys know, the Christmas in the Adobes, the pre-sale tickets, the tickets are available right now. Colton Hall, we are going to be opening again, and other sites are going to be open. And just did a Path of History walk with California State Parks earlier today, part of a conference committee. And just received a grant from Institute for Museum and Library Services for a collection assessment for preservation for Colton Hall and the old jail. So that was something I did when I was volunteering. I wrote a grant for collection assessment for preservation through IMLS and got that for Colton Hall, just to look at how they're presenting their items, how they're storing their collection, because they do have an archive collection and we do have stuff in there. So that's what I've been up to in museums. And with that, any additional questions?
Yeah.
Marcia?
Well, first of all, congratulations on the grant. That's wonderful. It's a real shot in the arm for them, I'm sure. I just had a question about MC Gives, what do you call it? The matching grant
The
partnership.
challenge grant?
The challenge grant, thanks. Do you know what the date for that is? Because I know some board members like to donate.
I can find the date. I will find that real quick. Let's see. Give me just a moment. I will say they did change some of the standards for the challenge grants, in that they no longer allow, hold on. Sorry, this can take me just a moment. I know that the last day for the challenge grant, but also that they don't allow people to pool money anymore. It has to be individual donations of $500 minimum on there. I'll find that real quick and I'll get back to you, Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Bob, you're muted.
Marcia, the deadline for submitting for a challenge grant and have your name listed in the weekly was, it was the 24th, whatever day that was, a few days ago. They are still accepting challenge grants that will not lead to your name being on the list. I think it might still be on the website, and I don't know when that is, but it's a little bit later. And of course, the thing hasn't even started yet. So it doesn't start until the second week of November. So somebody could make a donation that's not part of a challenge grant anytime up till the end of the year. I think December 31st is the end of it. But the deadline for challenge grant submissions to be on the printed list was the 24th. What, 3 days ago? Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Harish, any question?
Yes, about the high quality scan that you have. It's going to be displayed at the Pacific Biological Labs. Will it ever come back to the library for showing also, because we get a lot more traffic there? So
It depends on what kind of display we're gonna do. I mean, it could be something for Steinbeck Days, because we are looking at what's gonna be there. For this, what we're looking at is getting the scan. For example, if you go to the Japanese American Heritage Center, they have it on a kind of a metal panel and board that tells there's history, there's context. So without just a letter. So what they're going to do for what we call the PBL is basically get a copy of it, try to get it in what they call onion paper, like the type of paper that it was on, if we can, and then mount it up so that when they're doing the docent tours, the docents physically tell them the story. So if we had a copy of it, I think it would make sense. Like if we have like a Ricketts display that's in the California History Room, and there, we've done different displays. So I think if we got a copy of it, we have to provide the context for what it's going to be. And without having that context like the Japanese American Heritage Center has, it's difficult. So I think, we could definitely work on that, because Tim Thomas is the one that showed it to me, that showed me the sign when we were over there. And I was like, oh, we've got to get this in the PBL, because this really ties into Ed Ricketts,
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public who wish to comment on this particular item?
There are no public comments, Chair Felgu.
Great. Thank you so much, Brian. You crammed a lot in since you hit the door. It's good to see. Item 6, receive financial report.
Yeah, I mean, we have that on your attachments of the different, the general fund and trust fund balances that we have on there, and the expenditures. And if there's any questions from any trustees, please let me know if there's any budget questions.
Does anyone have a question or need a clarification? I'm seeing people nodding their head no. Is there any input from the public on this particular item?
No, there is not.
Thank you. Great. Thank you again, Brian. And then item 7, receive statistical report.
Yeah, we have our attached statistical report, and I know some of our numbers are still down. We're getting more people inside the library, which we've seen, and you'll see that in there. And I think part of that has been as well, we've been, I'll be interested to see what our October count is, because we've been hosting more class visits. So you'll see that those coming up as well. And I know Kim has hosted different class visits, which have been really great to see all the different ages come in here in the library. But our customer visits are up this September over last September, and our library cards went up. We did a lot of outreach in terms of getting for a National Library Card Sign Up Month for September, and trying to get more people registered for the library cards. And the patron app continues to go up in there. So I think having that usage up there is great to see. And I will note that Harish told me that the patron app works at the PG library. So I made sure to tell their staff, hey, make sure you know that if people are just using their cell phones on your books, that they're actually checking out your items. So you might want to put up a flyer or tell your staff about that. So we just communicated that with them as well, so they can see that. But yeah, apparently, since we have the same ILS, it works over there too. And our programs are going up again. Like I mentioned, we've been having more programs happening again, which is great. So attendance is slightly up, but our number of programs is also up. Yeah, it's just great to see more of the visits. I think seeing the people inside of the library here spending time has been fantastic. Any questions, please let me know. And also the other one was California History Room sites visits have been increased as well.
I was really pleased to see the spike in the use of the Patron app and also youth programs, number of programs and the attendance. So kudos. Do any other trustees have questions? Yeah, Bob?
Yes, I know I'm muted. Okay. Jennifer took some of the words right off the tip of my tongue. The across the board, the number of programs and the number of people and all of that, are slowly year by year returning to what we might consider normal amounts that were pre-COVID. But the one thing that's interesting is that with regard to the adult programs, which I constantly focus on, even though the number of programs is still down compared to historical numbers, the number of attendees, the number of adults per program is actually 33% higher during this last 12-month period than it was during pre-COVID. So we're, in terms of attendance per programs in the adult category, we're actually getting more people per program. And I think that not only speaks in credit to the staff who've been organizing the adult programs, but also to, I think it reflects an increased interest and need and appreciation on the part of the adults in the community for the programs that the library offers, and of which maybe they weren't aware before the pandemic hit, and they were sort of almost forced to look for things to do. And I think they found them at the library. And like I say, the statistics, if you do a little arithmetic, the average attendance is 33% higher in 21-22 data compared to the 19-20 data. And that's all good, but it represents maybe an area where we need to even put more emphasis than we have historically.
And I'll say, if anybody's interested, this Saturday we have our Halloween Haunting, the Horror Writers Association's coming out. It's a great event. It's for teens and adults. So if you're interested in, local authors and hearing their stories, I think that's a great tie-in right there.
Any other trustees? Do we have any members of the public who have something to say on this topic?
No, there are no public comments, Chair Falgout.
Great, thank you so much. We're now in the section of trustee comments. Janie, we'll let you start us off.
I really don't have much to say. I did attend the Friends and Foundation meeting, as did Harish, and that was very interesting to me too. So I'm learning, and I love to learn. So this is a great thing.
Thank you. Marcia.
I just want to mention that I was in Crete, and I realized that my library books were overdue. And I didn't have my library card, but I had my phone, and I got on the Patron app on a small island off Crete, and I was able to renew my library books from there with my Patron app. So let's hear it for the Patron app.
Yay.
Great. Bob?
Well, I'm so glad Marcia didn't have any new books with her that could not be renewed because somebody had a hold on it.
Well, actually, there was one. I had to call my daughter and have her come into my house and bring it back. So
okay.
It was one of those.
Yeah, but just, everything we've seen and talked about and witnessed is just, progress everywhere we look, onward and upward. Things are not only returning to the way they were, but as I have hoped for the last 2.5 years. New aspects that are innovative and different and changes and improvements. And, going back to the same old would almost feel like a failure, but we're getting back to the good parts of the same old and coming up with some new stuff. So I'm just real pleased with what we see happening.
Thank you. Harish.
Yes, I'm very pleased to know that the community room is opening up again for different programs. I'm looking forward to this Stevenson Club event that's going to happen soon, and hope that we have a lot more interest in that soon.
Harish, do you want to mention the date of that?
I believe it's November 12th, is it?
Correct, 2 o'clock, the unbirthday event for Robert Louis Stevenson, and we're holding it again, 2 o'clock. Saturday, November 12th.
Thank you. I apologize to you all for missing the last meeting. I went for a wonderful Rhine River cruise and came home with the gift of COVID. So I'm over COVID, still trying to get my energy level back up. I'm just not quite there yet, but I am planning on coming to the staff day Monday. I thought my costume will be one of an old retired librarian. I'm just pleased with everything that's happening with the library. I feel like we're coming back to life again, which is very gratifying. And now if we can get our budget boosted up and more staff on board, I will be delirious with joy. So thank you all. And thank you, Harish, for chairing last month's meeting. I really appreciate that. If there is nothing else, I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank
See you
you.
around.
Bye.
Be safe.